Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Appreciate you joining us. Hope your weekend is going well. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your families. It is the last day in November, November the 30th, 2024, and this is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We're here every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. talking all things real estate, mortgage related, hosted by Mike Overson, of Luminate Home Loans, Scott Wolmering, and myself, Ryan O'Neill, with the Minnesota Real Estate Team. RE/MAX Advantage Plus. Excited to have my friend David Meyer in studio with us here today. David, good morning to you, buddy.
Hi, Ryan.
Good to see you, friend.
Absolutely happy to be here.
Yeah, we're going to have a fun time, fun show. David is a longtime agent, broker, outstanding member of our team as well. And so we're getting ready to go live on air here right now, again on WCCO. Thank you for joining us again. 612-294-6949 is how you can join us by phone or text. Here we go. We're going live on air. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for being here. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show, live every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. on News Talk 830 WCCO. We welcome your questions, comments, thoughts. The show is hosted by Mike Overson, Luminate Home Loans, Scott Wolmering, and myself, Ryan O'Neill, with the Minnesota Real Estate Team and RE/MAX Advantage Plus. Hope you all had a great Thanksgiving with your families. This is the last day in November, and again, we're happy to be here. Happy to be here. This is a fun show, an interactive show. 612-294-6949 is how you can join us. 612-294-6949. Excited. We've got Mr. David Meyer in studio with us today. David, thanks for coming on, bud.
Hi, Ryan. Happy to be here.
David is a longtime friend, fellow real estate investor, agent, broker, and member of the Minnesota Real Estate Team. Thanks for being here, bud.
Yeah, appreciate it. Happy Thanksgiving. A day or two late, so.
Yeah, you get to carry the torch for Mr. Scott and Mr. Mike today.
Yep.
No pressure.
I don't look as good as Mike, though. Either one of those guys. They're both ripped. We spent a lot of time in the weight room.
Yeah, they are. They do indeed. And again, thank you, folks, for joining us. 612-294-6949 is how you can join the discussion live by phone and or by text. That comes right to us in the studio during the show, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. And then throughout the week, that comes right into our office. We're also streaming on all your favorite social media platform. David, first segment, we always like to do a little bit of an update from a real estate standpoint and also a mortgage standpoint. And yeah, we were talking a little bit before on air, interest rate wise. And again, love working with Mike Overson, Luminate Home Loans, Luminate Bank, a local bank right here in the Twin Cities. Current interest rates on the 30-year fixed are in the high sixes right now. And when we look back a year from now, so November 2023, rates were in the high sevens. So they are about a point lower. But David, as we were talking about before going live, in September of this year, rates ticked down, averages nationally 6.25, 6.3 range, and they've ticked up here the last 2 months. Thoughts on that? Did you feel that with your buyers and any feedback?
Well, yeah, absolutely. And Mike will tell you that in that time frame there, he was getting some VA loans that were down under 6. You know, some of the FHA stuff, he was getting down closer to 6 versus 6.25. And so we definitely saw a little uptick in activity over about a 2-week span there back in September, where all of a sudden there were multiple offers on properties. There were a lot more buyers that were out looking.
Yeah.
You know, and anytime that rate drops like a full point, it just pours a bunch of buyers into the market right away because they go, oh boy, we better jump now. And they hop in and they start looking again. And then as it ticks back up, they back off.
Yep.
So it's just a really strange market right now.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. Interesting time, and we'll transition to the real estate update year over year. Again, these are numbers in the Twin Cities. When we look at new listings, new homes for sale, there were 5% more new properties that came on the market year over year, 1,002. And then pending sales also are up year over year. There was 7% more pending sales, 777. And then the overall inventory is still close to that 10,000 homes for sale range. We're at 9,614 homes for sale. That's up about 6% year over year. Days on market, so the average amount of time to get your property sold, is up 21%. So very significantly year over year. They're 45 days is the average days on market. But then people say, hey, what about, Ryan, David, what about prices? The median sales price has also increased year over year, 4%. We're up to 380,000. Prices have continued to slowly tick up, David.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an anomaly because, if we're at 10,000 homes right now, a normal healthy market for us in the Twin Cities would probably be more like 18 to 20,000.
Yep.
And so we got about half of what we need in terms of inventory. And so that's why we're still seeing prices that are going up. And yet sellers are having to understand that the market has shifted a little bit. And with this higher interest rate, not as many buyers out being aggressive looking. There's still quite a few out looking, but not being as aggressive as they were. And they aren't offering as much as they were. And so I think a lot of times what we're seeing is the sold price might be at or above the list price, but it's not at or above the original list price.
Sure.
So we're seeing, you have to drop your price a little bit in order to get that offer that you're looking for. So it's just been a strange market the last couple of months.
Yeah, it is an interesting time. Again, pricing for sellers or potential sellers here in Minnesota, very, very important. Be sure you're sitting down, talking with your agent, having him or her really advise you, looking at comparable sales, looking at very, very similar homes. One other thing we like to do, David, I know you've done a lot of, is even if there's other active properties on the market that are similar to your home, oftentimes we will take our future potential sellers through those properties so they can see them. They can see the feedback. They can see the neighbor's house that maybe is a little bit nicer or not as nice. And wow, it's been sitting on the market for 45 days. And look at where they're priced. What's going on? It's a way that you can help parties come to an agreement on price, David, versus just telling you as the seller, hey, David, you need to list it at X. And that may not be the number they want.
Correct. And as an agent, I always feel that my job is to give the seller as much information as I can so they can make a good decision on how they want to price it. In the end, in the long run, I work for them. And so they're going to price it where they think appropriate. I'm going to give them as much advice and guidance as I can in that process. And then hopefully we come to a spot that works well. If they do start considerably high or too high, then we kind of have to have that conversation early on built in to say, look, we've been on for 2 weeks and we've had 0 showings. So we need to take a look at where we're at in terms of price. Because even in this market that has definitely slowed down a little bit, if you're 2 weeks without a showing on your first 2 weeks, that's kind of tough. You probably have overshot it a little bit.
Yeah, again, thanks for joining us here on WCCO. Hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Had lots of turkey, stuffing, all kinds of pie. Oh my goodness. I saw a number of people out jogging this morning, even when it's cold. It's cold in Minnesota, but you know what? It's winter.
I did some damage on the pumpkin pie on Thursday.
Good work. Good work, young man. Good work. Hey, we appreciate you being here. A lot of folks joining us on social media as well. 612-294-6949 is how you can join us by phone or text. It comes right live to us here at CCO. Grateful Ryan Perpich is in studio helping us produce the show as well. Grateful for Ryan. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Hey, thanks, folks. Thank you for so many of you joining this morning. David,
Yes, sir.
had a lot of pumpkin pie.
I can do.
You're looking,
pie
you know what?
anytime of year.
Yeah, a little pumpkin pie. We got to give a nice shout out. One of my nieces, Molly. Molly's got a great bakery up in Plymouth, and she bakes all kinds of stuff: pies, cookies, just all kinds of wonderful things. So thank you, Molly. Her business is called How Sweet It Is. It's up in Plymouth, but she's got a booming little cookies, pies. So we got a lot of good stuff from Molly. She's doing a lot of baking.
Well, holidays are just a great time of year and tough time to keep an eye on what you're eating,
Right.
to an extent.
Yeah. Again, that
My
first.
lovely wife had me at the health club on Thanksgiving morning at 6 a.m.
Oh man, that's no good.
Well, yeah.
That's no good. That is. Hey, we do appreciate you joining us. You're welcome with any questions, comments, thoughts. We've got a few text questions that have come in as well that we'll be hitting live on air. Again, interest rates, just an interesting time with those rates ticking up a little bit. Naturally, again, affordability. Affordability is a big issue. I would say it's one of the absolute main issues with our market. Affordability, again, we have seen a lot of rental apartment buildings, new rental options pop up. And so inventory has increased in that standpoint.
Yeah.
But David, I think, again, people are looking rental or purchase. And with rates, again, getting closer to 7, I think there have been a lot of people that have decided to rent as well.
Yeah, and it's interesting because a lot of people were thinking, okay, we get past this election and then things will be better. For whatever, it doesn't matter who you voted for. Both sides were thinking, well, interest rates will definitely get better after the election.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. It doesn't move that fast. It's going to take a little bit of time before it drifts back down a little bit and we get to more palatable rates for people. And still have to keep in mind that the 50-year average is 7.9%. So we're still below the 50-year average. So, and considerably below it, actually. If we're at 6.5, 6.75, we're 1.25 points below the 50-year average.
Yeah.
So
Just hard, of course, during COVID. Everybody, and a lot of people still are in their COVID
we got spoiled.
home. Yep, a lot of
We
people
got
still in that home, but some of that dam is breaking. More of those people are moving. We're starting to see a little bit more inventory. But again, sellers, pricing's critical. To your point, David, fellow agents, you've got a listing on for a couple weeks, no activity. I always like to look on InfoSparks. Be sure you're pulling up InfoSparks to see what's the activity for that price range, that neighborhood, that style of property. It's very, very market specific. And so it's just important to be checking that out. But here we go. We're going back live on air in CCO. Welcome back to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We hope your weekend is going well. And we always appreciate you joining us. David Meyer in studio today, the Minnesota Real Estate Team and RE/MAX Advantage Plus. David, before we dive back in, wanted to give just a quick shout out. My dear brother, Timothy, and I, we're doing actually 3 Christmas concerts coming up December 20th, 21st, 22nd at the Edina Performing Arts Center. Everything is for the foundation, the O'Neill Foundation of Hope, which helps people in our communities who are struggling, those who have kind of slipped through the cracks, whether it's loss of job, illness, a severe hardship, all the money being raised, all the ticket sales Everything from the concert is going towards the foundation to help those families in need. We've got a Friday night show, Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon as well. Lots of other instrumentalists we bring along. We've got the O'Neill sisters joining us from Ireland. Three very, talented, wonderful gals joining us. So it's going to be a fun show, kind of the dueling pianos, singing, playing on the two pianos, other instrumentalists. We may bring you on stage, David. What do you think, bud?
I'd get booed right off.
You can do it, though. You can do it. I've heard you sing actually down in Mexico on our team trip.
Well, the show is just a ton of fun. For somebody that hasn't been there, it's a great way to enjoy the holiday season. Very affordable, just a great time and lots of good fun. Think variety show. That's kind of the way I look at it. It's not just a concert; it's more of a variety show. The old school. The Mandel sisters, that kind of a variety show. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's a fun show. Again, pianobrothers.com.
Great cause.
Yeah, thank you.
Cause.
Pianobrothers.com is where you can find any and all ticket information. Super grateful for your generosity and consideration. It's going to be a fun show. We're really looking forward to that. So thank you. Thank you, everyone, with that. I also wanted to give, before we dive back in, a special shout out to a wonderful gentleman on the Minnesota real estate team, a fellow RE/MAX Advantage Plus agent by the name of Bill Clark. Bill has been a licensed agent here in Minnesota, I think over 40 years. Over 40 years, he has been with RE/MAX Advantage Plus. I believe the entire time. Bill is critically ill. He is down at Abbott, down in the hospital, has a wonderful wife, Becky, two great sons. And Bill just has so much love from not only agents on the Minnesota real estate team, people in our market, people at the brokerage. David, he's just a gem of a guy. We're all praying for him and sending him our love.
Yeah, one of the nicest guys you'd ever meet. He's kind of the king of the one-off showing. Bill is the guy that always steps up when somebody needs a showing last minute and they can't get there. And I think I told you when we were off air here, he did one for me a whole day worth. It was 8 showings.
Yeah.
And he just handled it really, really well and helped my folks to come to some conclusions. And we ended up putting an offer in and Bill's just a great guy. Just a great guy.
Yeah. And again,
lots of prayers for him.
Yeah. Thank you for buyers, sellers, just regular listeners, non-agents listening. Sometimes if you're busy as an agent, you may need help from a fellow agent to do a showing. And so Bill was always one of those, if not the main person for our team. Just very helpful, just a super helpful guy. So again, want to send in a lot of love and prayers to Becky and the family as well. We're praying for Bill. We did have a text message, a question come in, say, guys, does it make sense to actually do an open house? Good question. Does it make sense? I have some good thoughts on that. I think I am a fan of an open house. I know a lot of agents, a lot of brokers say, nope, don't do them. It's a waste of time. Serious buyers will be working with agents to do pre-approved showings, kind of a one-off. I think there are a fair number of people that occasionally may be in the market, maybe not, immediately looking to move, but want to get out and see something. And I think an open house gives a very low pressure, soft format to get some potential exposure. Now, granted, is it always super effective? No. But from a marketing standpoint, you've got to do anything and everything, especially in this market, David. And we've seen homes sell through open houses. Not a high percentage, but it has happened. Thoughts, David?
Yeah, I learned a lesson early on in my career. I was meeting with a potential listing client and I had told him that, open houses are pretty much just for the agent to find new clients and not necessarily sell your house. And I didn't get that listing, Ryan. The reason
You did get it?
I did not, because they had sold 3 other houses before. All 3 of them had sold through an open house.
There you go.
So they were thinking that this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. So, but yeah, I always offer it up to my sellers just to say, hey, if you want to do one, I'm happy to do them. I do think they are worthwhile, particularly early on in the listing, because it does create some activity and some buzz. If you have an open house and you do get 3, 4, 5 clients coming in at one time, that really helps because it does create an atmosphere of, if we want this one, we might need to move on it quicker rather than later. So yeah, I mean, they're effective and with open houses, if you're an agent out there and you're trying to figure out, well, how do I do an effective open house? The one thing I would tell you is don't be overly salesy. Just be yourself. Just talk with people, build a little relationship with them as best you can in the short time that they're in there with you. You can't follow them around looking over their shoulder the entire time, but you have to ask them to be respectful and be respectful of your seller and basically just do your best to build a relationship up and see where they're at.
A couple other quick tips for sellers, fellow agents, again, brokers that might be listening. This may seem like common sense, but be sure that your open house is on MLS. When you put it on MLS, it then syndicates out to all the major websites, edinarealty.com, remax.com, coldwellbanker.com, Zillow. That's where people are looking. They'll see the open house there. I encourage putting out a lot of signs as well. You will get sign traffic, people driving around. Maybe it's a neighborhood community that you're thinking of living in. You happen to see the random open house sign. Door knocking to neighbors in the area on the day of the open house as well to let them know you're doing the open. A lot of neighbors have friends that say, hey, anything ever pops up in the neighborhood, I'm thinking of moving here. We just had someone drop a letter in my mailbox saying, my daughter lives in the area. We'd love to buy a home in this neighborhood sometime. Keep me posted, type of thing. So it's important, again, how you prepare for that open. And sometimes you strike out. Sometimes nobody shows up.
I just had a listing meeting about 2 weeks ago with a client who said, I don't want to have an open house because I don't want my nosy neighbors coming over.
Sure.
And to my comment back to her was, well, I think you do want your nosy neighbors coming over because their son or daughter might be the one looking for the house because they want to move close to mom and dad, or they got a cousin or a sister or a relative or a friend. The nosy neighbor is only a problem if it's just a nosy neighbor. But if it's a nosy neighbor with a purpose, then that's somebody you want to talk to. You want to see if you can find out who the decision maker is and try to get to the person that actually might be buying.
Yeah, again, really good question. We haven't had that one for a while about open houses. When in doubt, don't hesitate to do it. Had a pricing question, just saying that I am actually a seller on the market, having very few showings. What is going on, guys? A couple thoughts, just briefly, I would say, have your agent, your broker, look at InfoSparks. InfoSparks is a tool on Northstar MLS that gives you a ton of data, neighborhood, price point, style of home. And what it does is it drills down what's the average number of showings per offer? What's the average, all kinds of statistics that will help you as a seller understand. Maybe it's not you. Maybe it is that particular market. But maybe it is you. Maybe you look at it and you're like, okay, we've had no showings. And normally you get 8 showings in the first 15 days. We've got a price issue. So your agent should be helping you do that, David.
Yeah. So most of the time, I'd say it boils down to the market's just not seeing enough value at that price. That's kind of the bottom line with it. And at the same time, right now, what I'm telling sellers is just, you got to be patient right now. It's a different market than it was 6 months ago, even, a year ago for sure. So, and definitely different than it was in 2021 and 2022, those COVID years. Sellers are still, some of them still thinking about that.
Yeah.
And thinking, I haven't sold in 3 days. What's wrong with my house? Why can't I sell it? Okay, well, that's not the market we're in anymore. You're not likely to have that today. We're more than likely going to have a little bit of time on market before we end up selling.
Hey, thank you for joining us. Thanks for listening, whether you're catching us on social media. A lot of folks today post Thanksgiving. Hard to believe. Last day of November here. It's chilly out this morning. Put on an extra coat and an extra hat if you're out and about going for a walk. We're at the halfway point. We got a lot to talk about here in the second half. We've got some good questions that have come in by text, social media as well. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks so many of you for joining here this morning. We did have a comment here saying, David, do you want another slice? You want another slice, bud?
Yeah, I'll take all the pumpkin pie I can get.
Yeah, a little
I love
pump.
that stuff.
Yeah, a little pumpkin pie. Had another comment come in. Are you guys seeing a lot of home inspections now? We are seeing a lot of home inspections. Yeah, home
Yep.
inspections are definitely back. They're back.
I'm working through one this morning, as a matter of fact. Yeah.
So your buyer's done the inspection.
Yep.
Now they're asking for things from it. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going on as well. So prepare your sellers as well for another round in the negotiation. A lot of maybe
Correct.
some agents newer to the industry, maybe you're not used to that.
Right.
Maybe you're not used to a whole nother round of negotiations or canceling too. I was
Right.
talking to a team member yesterday who's most likely canceling based on the inspection
Yeah.
with kind of a laundry list of items.
Yeah, and that's one of those things where you can't ask for everything. You know, it's a process to work through. If you go into the inspection with the idea of, okay, now I've got a 17 item checklist that I'm just going to forward on to the listing agent and ask them to cover all this stuff, it's not how it works. So you've got to figure out what the main issues are. And I always start with, is there anything related to safety? That's number one.
Yeah.
So anything related to safety is what you want to deal with first. And then after that, you go after the bigger items that are there that are prevalent that could end up being more substantial in terms of cost.
I had a comment about, are we seeing a lot of for sale by owners? Interesting with the whole change that happened with the commission lawsuits.
I don't think that's changed much at all.
No, there really has not been a lot of for sale by owners.
Down a little bit.
Yes, interestingly enough, not many files that I'm seeing coming through, not many sales, are related to sale by owner situation.
Yeah.
There's certainly discounters out there. There's certainly, as there always have been, but with the change, the commission change, really it's been a little bit business as normal. It's been some new conversations. There's been some new paperwork, but really, all in all, not a lot for sale by owners. Right? I guess we're getting ready to go back live already on air. You got a listing too. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Top of the morning to you, and welcome back to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We appreciate you joining us Saturday mornings here on CCO, last day of November. Every week we like to feature some listings. Got a nice one, Miss Heidi Huseth. This one's down in Rochester. Heidi is from Rochester. The address of this is 1952 Waterford Place, Southwest. Priced at $265,000. It's going active on the market on Monday. It's a 2-bed, 2-bath, 1-car attached garage. It's a 1-level living townhome in a great Rochester location. It's got new LVP flooring, kitchen appliances, beautiful tiled walk-in shower, new roof, the living room with a vaulted ceiling, cozy gas fireplace, and large windows, a solid association. Nice property, David. 2-bed, 2-bath, 1-car garage. That's again in Roch, 1952 Waterford Place, Southwest, for $265,000.
Well, Rochester's a great market because of everything that's going on with the Mayo and their expansion down there. So you're definitely going to see appreciation.
Yeah, had another question about evicting a tenant. Guys, I need help evicting a tenant. So Matt Engel, who's a partner with our show, mnrealestateshow.com, is an attorney. That is the lion's share of his business, evictions. I would encourage any fellow investors, anyone going through this, always hire an attorney to do it. There are a lot of specific dates, a lot of specific paperwork issues, a lot of I's you got to dot and T's you got to cross. If you screw it up, it messes up the whole process. Hire an attorney, hire a professional. Matt Engel does a great job, David.
Yeah, it's a challenging process. I've been through it myself to the point of almost having to file with a tenant. And it is a challenging process. And like you say, if you mess up one particular thing, you can get it tossed back at you and you got to start all over again. So it's definitely best to have some professional help and somebody that can get you through that process.
Another comment about property taxes. Received our property taxes notices. They are rising. What gives?
Welcome to 2024.
Yeah, across the board.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting, maybe if, again, if you're listening as fellow owners, what county you are in. Be interesting to hear. Feel free to join us 612-294-6949. What you're seeing for an increase in property taxes. I've been hearing 8%, 10, 15%. Significant, David. That again brings us back to that affordability piece. When we're looking at again young people wanting to buy their first house. You know, you were a longtime principal, educator. David was a principal at Hill Murray, a variety of schools here. You think about those young folks, David, that you taught for so many years. They're getting out. They want to buy their own home, and they're looking at some of these costs: insurance, taxes, affordability. Any thoughts?
Yeah, it's created some challenges. You know, that my personal home, we went up $500 on our taxes, and my low investment property that I have up by the University of Duluth campus, that one went up, I think, $325. So it's something that happens every year, it seems, and it seems to be getting a little bit bigger every year. So it's frustrating, you know. But as a first time buyer, those are things that you have to kind of take into account. You know, on the insurance stuff too, people are like, wow, my insurance premiums have gone up. Well, all the hailstorms we've had and all the hurricanes and all the tornadoes, that stuff affects us across the board, even though it doesn't necessarily happen right in our neighborhood.
Remember, again, as a buyer, FHA, you can do 3.5% down. So if you're buying a $300,000 house, you're looking at $10,500 down payment getting into the deal. Now you can ask sellers to pay your closing costs as well, so you can make that part of the negotiation. But you got FHA. A lot of conventional loans will go as low as 3% down. Our vets, 0%, no money down, often on the VA loan. And again, you know, from an affordability standpoint, if you're a first-time buyer, look at a duplex, 3-unit, 4-unit building. You can be collecting rent from those other units to help offset your housing costs, David.
Well, and something else I encourage new buyers right now to continue to do is get out and look, because the shift in the market right now with the slowdown that's there, it's created a little more balance between seller and buyer. You know, 2021, 2022, the sellers had all the leverage. I mean, all the leverage. You know, they're getting 8, 10 offers, 12 offers on the property. They can pick and choose who they want to work with. So those days are pretty much gone. We're not seeing that anymore. So the sellers don't have as much leverage as they had just a few years ago. And it's created more of a, you use the term negotiation, created more of a negotiated process that I think is, to be honest, it's healthier. It's better for everybody, because you end up with win-win on both sides as opposed to win-lose.
Yep. Yeah. One other tip, again, thinking about sellers, if your home's on the market, not getting the activity you want. One other little tip that agents will do is what's called reverse prospecting, where on the MLS, it will show, for example, the 30 people, the 30 fellow agents that have a customer with a saved search that the customer may have favorited that property. So what you can do as an agent, and again, you're a big fan of this. This is a reason why you do so well. You sell 10 plus million a year, David, is you pick up the phone, you call that agent, you say, hello, Miss Agent at Edina Realty. David Meyer, Minnesota real estate team calling here. Just wanted to give you a heads up. I got a great listing at 9001 James Avenue. Looks like one of your customers favorited that one. Would you guys be interested in setting up a showing sometime? That may seem crazy or corny to some. We've sold a lot of homes that way. Not all agents always are aware and on it. And that phone call can make a difference, David.
Yeah, and here's the kicker with that, Ryan, is for agents that are newer that haven't done this in the past, send them the reference number, the buyer reference number, because in the system we have a buyer reference number. So I see Ryan O'Neill has a buyer number 12345, and then I send the reverse prospecting, but I don't tell them who the buyer is. Most of the time, agents just delete that because they don't know who you're talking about. They've got, you know, I don't know how many different searches I have set up for buyers. I got a whole bunch of them. So if I have to take the time to reach back out to the agent to figure out who the buyer is, it's just much easier. So for me personally, I go through each one individually. And when I send that email prior to the call, I always include the buyer reference number so they know which buyer I'm talking about that's in their system.
Yeah, I had another comment about commercial real estate saying, guys, do you guys do anything in commercial? You know what? We have done a good amount of commercial, and that's an interesting market. David, I know you had a recent sale with a gentleman that reached out to our team. I believe was in his late 70s, owned the property for a very long time. And you built a relationship, incubated it over time. It was like a 4 or 5 year period before he listed the property. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah. So the commercial stuff is a different animal. I've pivoted a little bit towards the commercial to an extent. I don't do a ton of it, but I pivoted a little bit towards it, partly because there's just more activity there right now. I think I've got 4 commercial deals closing after January 1st. Now that's part of what happens with commercial is you will have that longer close window because there does need to be time for checking out permitting and use and maybe rezoning and different things like that come along with the commercial properties when somebody's looking to do something different than what the building is already used for.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a different process. It takes a little bit longer. There is a little bit more negotiation back and forth. I think you'll find that too. There's definitely more negotiation back and forth, but there's also more of a spirit of negotiation because investors kind of know they're coming in with the idea that they're going to negotiate some things back and forth, and sellers who have been investors kind of feel the same way. So it can be a little bit of a different process than the residential, but definitely the commercial stuff is still moving right now. You'll oftentimes have more seller finance buys through commercial or cash buys through commercial. So it's just a different process.
Yeah, I wanted to give a shout out to Paulo Mora, a great agent on the Minnesota real estate team. He had a recent closing. It was a coffee shop, a commercial building right in Uptown. Longtime owners there. I went down to the open house. Actually, the mayor, Jacob Fry, was down there. And it was great to see new owners, just a great family that purchased it and going to be continuing on. And in this case, they bought the building itself, okay, the commercial real estate, but they also bought the business. In the business, again, there's obviously business brokers out there and valuation that's done. But in this case, oftentimes it's sold as a multiple of the EBITDA, the kind of the profit in essence. But having a good commercial expert to help you do that's important. But it was great to see Paulo. Jacob Fry's down there. Paulo's like shaking his hands and putting his arm around him. But it was great to see.
Well, that's another part of this is if they're selling not just the building, but they're selling the business along with it. Now you're getting into all kinds of different stuff. You're talking about profit loss statements. You're talking about wanting to see tax returns, inventories. I sold a restaurant up in northern Minnesota a couple of years ago, and it was a real process to get all the information that the buyer wanted in order for them to truly evaluate the whole business. The building itself, we kind of knew what the building was worth, but the business itself was a little bit of a different animal, and trying to figure that out and put a real number to it.
Hey, happy post-Thanksgiving to everybody. Hope your holiday season is starting out well. It is Small Business Saturday, now that I think of it. Be sure to shop small today. I grew up in New Prague. My dear mother is down in New Prague. My sister Mary's in New Prague. Be sure to shop small here today. Support all of our great small businesses. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks everybody for joining us. Appreciate it. David Meyer in studio today. Again, Mike Overson, Luminate Home Loans, Luminate Bank. Just so everybody knows too, Luminate Bank is actually a local bank. Great company. Eric Lovins, Taryn Reuter run the operation. I know their savings accounts, Mike had said, was paying in the high 4s still on their money. Just a great local bank. Mike and his team, I believe Mike's in South Dakota. So safe travels to you and Jen. And Mike's just a super hardworking guy with this industry, David.
Right? Yeah, good dude. And I'm wondering if he's still got that big muskie in his aquarium in his basement that he keeps posting online that he catches every year.
Yeah,
The
Mike.
thing keeps growing. I think we need a tag on that, identify it.
Mike is an interesting guy because he probably had no pie. He had no pie. He probably was. Yeah, he had a sliver. He's probably doing sit-ups. He's doing all the day off, like right before people come over.
Right.
You know, he's.
Yep.
Yeah, there is. This is an interesting comment and question about rates of return on home improvement items. What is your biggest bang for your buck? That's hard. So I was just talking to a team member yesterday about a deal. He's got an accepted offer. Jennifer Tischlitter, great agent, has got an accepted offer on a home, but the roof is shot, and it's like a $650,000 home. Well, when you're buying a $650,000 house, you expect the roof to be working.
Yeah.
And part of what has happened with the negotiation is it's a little bit, sometimes agents will say, well, hey, if we're doing the roof, then this.
Right.
And again, there's certain things people expect with a house. They expect the furnace to be working. They expect the roof to be solid, the windows to be good. Those types of things, David, and that's hard for a seller if you're dropping 30, 40, 20, 50 grand on a roof. And then you're like, well, what do you mean I don't get value out of it?
Yeah. Yeah. So the return on investment, a lot of times sellers think, well, if I do this, then I should get this back. And sometimes they're way out of whack. If I spend $10,000, I should get $13,000 back on it. That's not how it works. So with real estate, if you spend $13,000 to bring something up to speed, you just spent $13,000 to bring it up to speed. It doesn't necessarily mean your value went up $13,000.
Yeah.
It does make it easier to sell. It makes it easier to sell and easier to get people in the door, but it definitely doesn't equate dollar to dollar. And the most bang for your buck you're going to get out of any improvements is really simple: paint and flooring.
Yep, paint,
Those
carpet,
are the two biggest ones.
cleanliness.
Yep.
Garage doors. Garage doors, surprisingly, is a big bang.
Yeah.
Front door. Again, people coming into the home. Kitchens are tough. Kitchens are often not as high as you would think. Here we go. We're going back live on CCO. Thanks for joining, everybody. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Minnesota Real Estate Show, and happy Thanksgiving to you, your families, and friends. Grateful for you joining us Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Throughout the week, we're here for you. You're thinking of buying a home, selling a home. You simply have questions. Please don't ever hesitate to reach out. The Minnesota Real Estate Team. We're a team really all over the state of Minnesota and western Wisconsin. Low pressure. We're here to provide value, help you and your families. David, before we touch on your listing, just wanted to give out one other a quick shout out again. My brother Tim and I are doing a little holiday show, 3 of them, Friday night, December 20th, Saturday the 21st, Saturday the 22nd, in Edina, the Edina Performing Arts Center. All of the money is going towards the O'Neill Foundation of Hope, a family foundation that we have to help individuals in our communities. Those maybe who have lost a job, have a medical a diagnosis, something devastating that has happened to them. They need a little help, a little love from the community. PianoBrothers.com is where you can go to find more information. It's a fun show. 2 pianos. We sing and play on the 2 pianos, dueling pianos, some humor. We got the O'Neill sisters from Ireland joining us, David. We got some other instrumentalists. It's a fun show.
Yeah, and you're a little too modest, right? It's more than just a little show. It's a full variety show. You get about an hour and a half worth of a lot of fun and singing and dancing and, people cheering and clapping and just having a great time. So definitely worth the effort to go see it.
Yeah, appreciate it. Again, PianoBrothers.com. We're grateful for your kind support. David, you got a nice listing that popped on the market here.
I do. I've got one here at 2438 Hines Avenue North in Oakdale. This is a 4-bedroom, 3-bath with a 2-car garage. Lots of updates in this one. The owner is a contractor, so a lot of things have been updated and done really, really well. Washer and dryer 2023, water softeners 2023. It's got a new roof, new gutters, high-end LP siding in 2022. That was about $75,000 worth of work that he had done to the outside of the place.
Wow.
Just a great place. Large center island, listed at 465.
Where is that one again?
465,000.
465?
2438 Hines Avenue North in Oakdale. Just a really nice property. Give us a shout if you'd like to come take a look.
Yeah, very nice. I've seen the pictures online. Beautiful property. Be sure to check that out. One last one, Mr. Fong. Fong Cows got a great listing in Burnsville, 13521 James Avenue South for 455. It's a quiet cul-de-sac, private wooded backyard. There's no neighbors in back, Fong says. Hardwood floors, main floor, bedroom and bathroom. Lots of updates. A new fridge in 2022, water heater, central air in 2021, new windows in 2024. It's got a maintenance-free deck, great view of the backyard, and it's a very nice location. 13521 James Avenue South in Burnsville for $455,000. Fong Cow with the Minnesota real estate team. Saw Fong at our pie giveaway. We do a little fun pie giveaway every year, David. That was a lot of fun. See you and your dear daughter, Miss Madeline.
Yep, my right hand, Madeline, who does all of our online work and all of our social media marketing for our little Meyer property group within the Minnesota real estate team and Remax Advantage Plus. She does a fantastic job, and I wouldn't be able to do what I do without her. So shout out to my daughter, Madeline.
Hey, gotta give you a big shout out, buddy. You made, again, every year with our team, the Minnesota real estate team, we do kind of a top producer trip. If the agent sells a certain amount of real estate, our team, I pay for a trip for them and a guest. And a fun time. We go to an all-inclusive. This year we're going down to Puerto Vallarta. It's just a small way for me to say thank you to those agents for their hard work. You, my friend, qualified again. I think every year you've been on our team, you've qualified for the trip, which says a lot about you. So congratulations. But what I love about you, David, you have the heart of an educator. And my dear brother, Tom, is a longtime teacher. My mom was a longtime teacher, and God bless the teachers out there. They need to be paid more, and they work so hard. But you bring through that background so much of that to this business, and I think, frankly, that's one of the main reasons you do so well.
Yeah, it's been a fun transition. You know, I got into the business back in 2016, about 8 years ago, and got lucky enough to land with some first-time buyers fairly early and work with some first-time buyers fairly early and be able to educate them through the process. But it's also interesting because when you're working with people that are downsizing, they may have been in their home 20, 30 years, 40 years. They don't remember what it was like to go buy a house anymore. You know, just the sheer amount of paperwork has more than tripled from when they bought back in 1978, right? So re-educating them and helping them to understand how the market works today and how we do certain things. I'm working with a gal right now that is in that boat. She has the original house that her and her husband built 43 years ago. And we're just working through that process of, okay, how do I sell this now? And helping her understand how that whole process works. It's been a lot of fun. And to be honest with you, Ryan, with this business, it's been playing follow the leader. You know, you and some of the other people on our team, Jason Walgrave, Rodolfo Trujillo, Joe Mack, Angie Savageau, the Queen, Heidi.
Miss Heidi, she's a former educator.
She's called the Queen of the West in the business. So
yeah,
she's another former educator. Yeah.
Well, what's interesting about it, again, and I think as you are looking to select an agent, thinking about friend, family, whoever you want to choose, it's about relationship building. It is about having someone you trust, someone that'll guide you through the process, someone that's low pressure. Long timelines. Again, David, you literally just helped this gentleman, in his late 70s, sell this property. It had been 5 years. And he listed it, finally after about 4 years of you guys knowing each other. But it's like when the time's right.
So the other one, Ryan, is the young gal that I had that was, I met her 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And she came to us and she's like, well, I want to buy an investment property. And she qualified for like $90,000.
Okay.
It was really, really low. And so over time, we just stayed in touch. We'd go out and look at some things, and she would work on her credit. She'd work on her income, and she'd go away for 8-9 months and have no activity, then come back, and then go away, and then come back, and finally just bought a couple of properties, and both, $350,000 and $325,000. So 7 years later, had started her own business, had built up her credit, had built up her savings, and was able to get into something and make it work. So yeah, it's just a process of keeping in touch with people.
And I think, again, if you are in a spot, hey, my income's not great, my credit's not great, I'm not in a spot to buy a home, hang in there and start the journey. Just a good example, someone that was pre-approved for 90,000. You know what? I've seen people turn it around.
And she's going to buy more. I'll guarantee you.
Yeah.
She's determined that she's going to own a little empire of rental property. She's determined for that.
One of our goals with the show is we want everyone to benefit from generational wealth, owning some real estate.
Right.
If you're thinking about doing something in 2025, go buy something. Go buy something. Build some longer term wealth by owning real estate. Great job today, David.
Thanks, Ryan.
Hey,
always fun to be here.
You need to be back on more often, friend.
We'll get RT back with me. We'll do the David and RT show.
Yeah, thank you to David Meyer. Thank you again to Ryan Perpich, and we're grateful for all of you listening. This has been the Minnesota Real Estate Show, Saturdays 10 to 11. We're here for you. Again, say some extra prayers for Bill Clark. Wonderful guy, kind gentleman. We're thinking of Bill, sending him lots of prayers here today. God bless you. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in the whole show. It was fun.
Good show.
David Meyer, we are grateful for you joining us. Please do say an extra prayer for Mr. Bill. Bill's just a heck of a good guy. A lot of you watching probably know Bill. He and his wife Becky. He's just a gem of a human.
Just a prince of a guy.
Just a great guy. And thank you for the kind comments. Mike says looking forward to the Christmas show. Thank you, Mike. Heather Quinn says, great show as always. Thank you for your kind comments. Others as well. If you ever think of a topic you'd like us to hit during the show, please don't hesitate to let me know. Really anything at all. We had a lot of kind of random stuff come in today. We like that. Keeps it fresh and interesting. So again, take care, everybody. Stay warm. And we'll be back next weekend. Safe travels to Scott Wolmering and Mike, who are out of town here too. So look forward.